Yeah. It's Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark. And I'm just playing with stuff because we've never done an After Dark. This is really just Ask a Traffic Cop, but we're going to do it a little slower, a little more interesting. And I even had Suno create some music for it. I've not listened to it. I hope it's not horrible. Oh, yeah. I'm not wearing the right clothes for this. Okay, I had enough of that. Listen, my name is Sean Shapiro. I used to be a police officer, like up till August of last year, and I left. I went from being a police officer to simply being a podcaster, a traffic safety educator, a guy on the internet that you can turn to get traffic and police questions answered, whether it is questions about how the rules of the road work, about how police stuff goes, or if you want to be a cop, you want to know about what's involved with becoming one. I talk about all that stuff. Someone said, different schedule? Why? This was just so basically there was a huge issue, a cyber attack apparently that took place this morning on X, and it really messed. Actually, a number of the streaming platforms were affected. It took me 40 minutes to get this morning's live stream rolling. So what did I do? I said that's not cool. Let's do another one today. So this is the second live stream of the day, just to see what's up, just to give you an opportunity to chat. So we'll go a little slower today. We'll try and deep dive into different things, and if you're up for it, throw your questions this way. And Keenan very appropriately said it's after dark, but it's not dark yet. I went for an hour-long walk, and I just got back around 6 o'clock. And the comments and discussion I had with my kids was the fact that it's not dark. I'm used to the winter, folks. It really felt like winter, like a week ago. Maybe I need to do this like much later. But we had a post on Twitter. The post said, "What time? 4 p.m. or 7 p.m." and it just clicked after dark. So maybe by the time I finish this live stream at 8 o'clock, it will be after dark. All right. Let's. If you're watching, you don't follow me. You should follow me because we have a lot of fun doing stuff and things. It's a channel where anything can happen because it's really directed based on you. Whatever you ask, whatever discussions we go into, that's what turns into the stuff I talk about. It's a show that's led by your discussions. Yeah. So if you got questions, ask. Uh, and Tanner most appropriately identified me as Sean because that's who I am. And Leah Marchi, is that Liam Marchi says, "Hi, Sean. Hello back. Aloha is what I typed into the screen at the time." And Justin Nakatsuka says, "Just got my first motorcycle, dual sport. Any training drills you like?" So, very first motorcycle, absolutely. So, for those who have no idea why he'd be asking me about motorcycle stuff, it's because I used to be a motor squad officer. I've been riding since I was 16 years old. Love motorcycles. Happened to get into a collision where I was struck on my police motorcycle on the way back to the station. That ended my road career, sadly. Although I don't want to say ended. I want to believe that at some point in the future, I'd have that ability to get back on the road because it's the most fun. As a police officer, the road is where you want to be. I'm not a paper pusher by nature. I did reinvent myself after my collision and turn myself into a media guy, but that was never my thing. I never thought I was going to become an internet person. I mean, I use the internet, but I never thought I'd be that guy. And here I am. So, in terms of drills, I mean, some of my favorite stuff was just things you could do on your own in a parking lot, slow speed maneuvering, and it's the figure eights in parking spots are just endless circles till you're lock to lock, and of course you're only competing against yourself, trying to get yourself to be better. Uh, with dual sport, you can do the thing. I mean, I used to do this with a Harley. Going up curbs and down curbs and just developing skills for slow speed, but take a course. The best thing you can do, the best money you can invest in is taking a course. And there are fabulous courses run by police officers who do it on their as a side gig, teaching civilians how to ride like cops. And if you see how police officers ride, we're the best in the world. I mean, police motor officers are bar none the best riders everywhere. And I'm not talking about race car or racing riders. I'm not talking about wheelie machines. I'm talking about being able to get it done. Watch in Google or even look online here, whatever platform you're on. Check out police motorcycle rodeos. You will be floored. There is just amazing work being done by police officers every day. And if you're watching, by the way, if you're watching on TikTok, please hit the screen, send some likes to the live, because this is a weird time for us and people don't know we're here. So if you smash the screen repeatedly, it sends likes. Likes send more people, and it's helpful. And if you forward it to friends, it's even more helpful. You don't even have to forward it. Apparently, you can just press the share and then and choose link. Whether you send that link to anybody is another story, but it would be helpful if you did. All right. Liam wants to know how many tickets I've ever given out in one day. It's never been trying to get a record. It's never been me trying to win a prize. So I don't know. I mean, I wrote as many tickets as things that I found that drew my interest. Very often those things were more serious. So it wasn't like, here, let me give you a wham bam ticket and move on to the next. It was, we're going to investigate you and we're going to spend a few hours here because we're going to write up everything we can find because you're a bad guy. Or it was something that needed me, after I let the person go, a tremendous amount of evidence to be written because there was a complicated charge. So it was never a matter of how many. It was never a record that I was trying to set. Dre wants to know what happens if an officer doesn't show up for a traffic infraction court date. So the deal is that two things can happen. It depends on the jurisdiction you're in. Generally speaking, if we're not there, they toss the case. The ticket goes away. If there's a situation where there's a really good reason for it, the prosecutor may ask for it to be put over to another date. And if the justice on the bench says okay, then that's what happens. They put it over to another day, and Bob's your uncle. That's a bad day for you, good day for us. If it's but more often than not, we see the courts being dismissive and throwing the cases. Now, I have feelings about that, but it's irrelevant. I don't like it when they do that. I want people to be, taking responsibility for their stuff. Now, in other jurisdictions like York Region, they apparently operate on the face of the ticket. So the ticket, the certificate, it is sufficient for them to proceed. They don't need the officer. So when you're trying to get out of a ticket and you go there and there's no officer and they say, no problem, we're going to proceed anyway. We're prepared to go to court. There's no freebie there. And you never know. You're rolling the dice. The best thing to do is avoid the infraction in the first place. Drive safely, drive lawfully, and don't get the ticket. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Crazy I Am says, hi, Sean. Will my sister insurance or my insurance go if I got a ticket in her car? Your insurance will go, because it's one thing if you wreck her car, if you're involved in a collision, but the deal is that it's tied to your license. So that if your charges, if it's just a speeding ticket, if it's just an infraction that was committed in their vehicle, it doesn't affect them. It affects you, who is the licensed driver who was driving the vehicle at the time. Yeah. Which is either good or bad for the argument you're trying to win. Like, please let me borrow your car. I know I did something wrong, but it's not going to hurt you. Or even if I do something, the problem really is when you smash that car because you did the wrong thing. Hope that helps. And feel free to ask more if you need more. Okay, what's this? Life's like that. Are there any limits to headlight brightness? Pickups don't seem to be able to dim. Dim? How many of them dim? They have to be directed properly. There are maximum brightnesses. I don't have the documents in front of me, but there is a maximum. And the deal is that it can't be above the maximum. Most of its color spectrum, like how blue, how white it is before it turns blue. A lot of people like the super white. What was it? What were they called? The xenon. And the xenons that were cheap tended to go purpley blue if they were really, really bright. Those are not legal. But the ones that are factory and approved, you generally are. The biggest issue again is direction. People just buy a car and drive it until they sell it. They never are very rarely get involved with directing their bulbs, ensuring things are done properly. And the PDIs in a lot of these, before you pick it up, the inspection, very rarely are they checking things thoroughly. Early. What's going on here? Okay. XI Clutch says 2 to 3 years to apply for policing, even if the charges have dropped. Not sure I think we talked about this earlier, but I don't earlier in a different live where you were in before, but I don't know exactly what you're talking about now because there's no context to your statement. Freshly Seen says, "What's the wildest situation you've ever been in?" I've been in many, but what is the wildest? That is a good question. The wildest ones aren't really a thing I'd probably talk about publicly. Let's see here. Honda Miggs says, "Do you believe cyclists should have insurance/license plates just because how some are reckless?" I've mentioned this on live streams for years. Once upon a time, you had to have a license plate. You had to be registered. I think there was a driver's license program to have a bicycle in Toronto. I think that would be great. We have people who ride bicycles who have no idea what the rules of the road are. They buy a bike because it's an economical way of getting around. It's a great mode of transportation. But what happens is they don't necessarily know what our rules are, and they do really, really dangerous stuff. Some of them don't follow the rules when it comes to stop signs, red lights, but some people are just absolutely reckless. And then the defense is always, well, I didn't know. Okay, well, you should know. If you're operating on the road, you should know. And then people say, well, pedestrians don't have to take a license. No, and pedestrians aren't operating vehicles which are regulated for the road. Like a bicycle is responsible, or a cyclist is responsible for following the rules of the road. They can get tickets under the Highway Traffic Act. They should know the rules, because it's kind of hard to give them a ticket when they just say, oh, I didn't know. There's a lot of I didn't knows. Brandon, what's going on? Good evening from Cape Canaveral. Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Got to tour the Blue Origin factory. You mentioned that earlier because Brandon was in this morning's live stream. That's awesome. I hope, were you allowed to take pictures? Was it like super secret? Now, if you're wondering how come he's on the screen, well, he came in through YouTube. If you join the live stream through YouTube, VoiceOver Cops the channel. If you come through on LinkedIn or through not through Instagram. I was gonna fib there. On X. X is the other platform that you can come through where it'll allow me to throw your comments on the screen. TikTok used to do that. It no longer does, which is sad. I had a little service for it. But it is working very well otherwise. Like I'm not missing message. We used to have all sorts of connectivity issues, which are gone, except for the fact that it doesn't connect at all. That's why it's gone. Okay. XI Clutch says 2 to 3 years to apply for policing, even if the charges have dropped. I know you think that puts it all together. Okay, I was referring if you received a speeding ticket and a careless driving in 2024. So it's about 6 demerit points. If you look at the page, if you look at www.tps.ca, they talk about having no more than 6 demerit points. Obviously, none is better, because why would they hire someone to enforce the Highway Traffic Act if you don't, have proof of you not observing or respecting it? That's what I was looking for. Yeah. Hey, if you're watching and you're new to the channel, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. It says so on the screen, well, at least the former police officer part. Mind you, some people still come in here and go, is this taxpayers' dollars that are, people get upset. Panties in a bunch. Yeah. But now we're just chilling at night. Maybe it's dark where you are, maybe it's not. Either way, my name is Sean Shapiro, and I'm here to answer your traffic and police questions. So if you've got questions, throw them in the chat. If you don't understand what I'm saying in my answer, ask me a different way. Ask me to elaborate. I'm happy to give different versions of the answer until it works for you. I won't change the answer. I'll just present it in different ways. Okay. Are ticket quotas a real thing? Tanner wants to know. And the answer is, I've never experienced a quota. Now, I always say that, and then I always follow up with this. You're expected to do an honest day's work. If you're getting paid for 10 hours a day, which is what the shifts were when I started, you're expected to do 10 hours of work. So if you go out and write one ticket and you come back and say, done, what did you do for the 9 hours? Like, well, was it Timmy's? No, that's not a quota, because that's just telling you to do your job. And I support that. Quotas are when you're told you can do 15 and done, and or 25 and done, and then you stop working once you hit it because you hit your mark. Because that's the goal. My goal was to get as many as I could, and I was always competing against myself to get better, to find more, to be faster. But truth is, it didn't matter because there's no quotas. That's what I'm trying to get at. No quotas. Mind you, you could have a police service in the States or somewhere in a small town, and that's how the managers manage. They say, I'll buy lunch if you hit 15. That could be an incentive. It's not a thing that's official. It could be a way of motivating your people. Listen, I got a friend of mine who's taking his entire office on a trip because they met goals. That's not a bad thing. It's an incentive. I never got a toaster or a free trip out of anything in the Toronto Police or anywhere else. All right. Derek Dunk says, hi. It was an emoji. I can't put emojis on screen, so I just wave. That's what he did. Justin says, I like the idea of licensing a person for any road use with any vehicle, rollerblades to Mack trucks. I think it certainly evens the playing field. At least you know that if someone's doing it, is utilizing a mode of transportation on a road, that they know how to use it. Maybe we just do it for in the city because we can, in the city of Toronto could regulate it. It makes sense. I don't think there's anybody who can make an argument that it doesn't make sense. The only arguments I've heard as to why cyclists shouldn't have licenses is because it's cost prohibitive, or it's a lot of work, or it's a barrier. Okay. It's supposed to be a barrier. Driver's licenses are a barrier. If you can't pass the test, you don't get to do it. You do have feet. You do have public transit. There are taxis. I don't know why we have to worry so much about coddling everybody. And that's what this is. If I give you the opportunity to drive on the road without a license, regardless of what you're using, I'm making it okay. I'm condoning that behavior. And if you screw up and hurt yourself or somebody else, am I responsible for letting you do it? Maybe. Maybe that's why they don't want to regulate it, because they don't want anything to do with it. They can just say, oh, it's not regulated. It's not my problem. Maybe they don't want to take ownership. But I like the idea of regulation. Not that I want to be babysitting everybody. I'd prefer everyone just do the right thing because that's the right thing. And then cops wouldn't have to worry about it. But that's not the world we live in, is it? Justin follows up saying, ensure the person, register your modes of transportation. Rules apply to all. I like it. And if you do something on one, you should lose privileges on the other. So right now, if you operate a bicycle and you decide to run a red light on a bicycle, you're not impacting your driver's license. But maybe you should, because then you'd be motivated not to do the dumb thing called running a red light or a stop sign. Interesting. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Ginger's Nan says, what do you think of the new enclosed shooter? What is this? What do you think of the new enclosed scooters that don't require a license or insurance? Well, Ginger's Nan, those are being sold under false pretenses. They are motor vehicles. They are not legal for the road. They are not licensed. They are not eligible for use anywhere but private property, because they are motor vehicles that would need a license, ownership, and insurance. And the people who are selling them are just misrepresenting their product. That's what it is. You put a roof and air conditioning and a stereo and the ability to drive that thing at a reasonable click. You are not telling me that is a mobility scooter that you're going to drive through Longo's to get your lunch or your dinner or your groceries or whatever you're buying at Longo's. Yeah, total. And there's also the same people who are marketing motorcycles that do 80 kilometers an hour, but if you flip a switch, it only does 32, so it's an e-bike. No, they're just lying. They're lying because they want to make as much money from you as possible, and they don't care what happens to you once you get hit with the tickets and the charges. And there's incredible charges. Like the drive no insurance that I would charge with each and every one of these people is $5,000 to $25,000 and up to 6 months in jail. Yeah. You own a car, license it. Of course, you can't license it. All right. Nameless user says, hi, Sean. Hello. Can you explain the slow down, move over law? If you can move over, do you have to slow down? How much do you have to slow down to not be guilty of violating the law? This one's a good one. And it's a good one because it doesn't say exactly. I actually really like the Highway Traffic Act in in Quebec because they have posted minimums. Like they set things out in stone. Let's see here, emergency vehicle. Now, that's what like it should be set explicitly, but they leave so much up to the imagination for interpretation. All right. 159 is the section. The driver of a vehicle upon the approach of a police department vehicle. No, that's not the one we want. We want slow down, move over. It's a Here we go. Upon approaching an emergency vehicle with its lamp producing intermittent flashes of red light, or red and blue light, or a tow truck with its lamp producing intermittent flashes of amber light that is stopped on a highway, the driver of a vehicle traveling in the same side of the highway shall slow down and proceed with caution, having due regard for the traffic and the conditions of the highway and the weather, to ensure the driver does not collide with the emergency vehicle or tow truck or endanger any person outside the emergency vehicle or tow truck. There's nothing there that gives specific instructions, which is a problem or not, depending on how you look at it. Because how do you defend something that's that? It's hard. Police officer says, I observed the driver failed to slow down, made no meaningful attempt to change direction or change lanes. I didn't see brake lights applied. They seem to be, you're done. Like there's no defense for that. Well, I didn't see, no, which is good for law enforcement, bad for you. If you look into the entire act, it says you must change lanes if a lane is available. If the lane is not available, if you cannot move anywhere, you have to significantly slow down. But what is the magic number? Is it 5, 10, 15, 20? Most people are doing 30 kilometers over the post limit. Like they're going way too fast. And if they're going way too fast already, how much do you go down to the speed limit? No, you should be doing probably 30%, 40% below the speed limit when you get up to them. There's warning lights. It's not like you didn't see them from half a click away. Yeah, it's a thing. Great question. I'm so glad we'll have to talk more about that another time. I'll get some guests on to chat about it. All right. RT, what is this? How long can a person visiting from another country use an international license to drive in Canada, specifically Ontario? So the rules are this. Another one of these things where we talk about depends. Are you visiting? Are you here on a visitor status? Because if you've taken up residence, if you're renting a place, if you've established any kind of connection here, you're no longer a visitor. Got a bank account? Yeah, you're not a visitor. So it depends. If they're in the process of moving here, like the province of Ontario has determined that you, at 60 days, if you're not here on a visitor visa, like you're not actually visiting, you're not a tourist, you're a resident. Obviously, if you're in a hotel, I would argue that. But if you're renting a place and you're here past 60 days, 30 days with a motor vehicle from another province, you're a resident. You got to register. You're talking about, overseas visitors from another country. But when you consider 30 days is where we want you to change the your registration of your vehicle and 60 days for your license, that's not a lot of time. Now, if you're just visiting, you're truly, truly visiting. 6 months without an international driver's license, which, by the way, is not an actual driver's license. You have to have a valid license in the jurisdiction of issue, and you need, in addition to that, an international driving permit, which is what is often referred to as an international license. It's just a translation card. It takes the characters that may be in a different alphabet, like the Cyrillic alphabet or whatnot, and allows police officers to read it and go, oh, that's the thing we type into the license box. That's the date of birth. Like all that is a translation key. And it's coming from a place that's verified, like in Canada, and just in Ontario or all of Canada. That's CAA. CAA is the company of record to issue international driver's permits. I still have the one I got when I was 16. I thought it was so cool that I was like international man of mystery. I had 007 here. I had an international driver's license. Oh yeah. But the absolute maximum with an IDP, international driving permit, the maximum 1 year if you're a legit person who's visiting. But 6 months, generally speaking, and I've had people give me every kind of license. And the problem is they do this because the driving in Ontario, this is a really important factor. People hand over an international license, whether it be foreign license or international permit, because they've come here, they've moved here, they've applied for a G1 because that country that they're coming from doesn't have a connection, an agreement to just do a straight trade. So what happens is they apply for the G1, and then they keep driving on their international or foreign license. Not legal. The moment you get a G1, the moment you apply for an Ontario license, your foreign license is no longer accepted. We have you on record, your system, we're in our system, you are a G1 driver and can no longer operate a motor vehicle without supervision of a qualified G2. Sorry, a qualified G with 4 years driving experience. Almost gave you bad info. But it's fascinating to me how many people break the rules, twist the rules, bend the rules, try and make them work for them. And it's bad because you're not licensed, thus you're not insured. Bad things happen. Hope that helps. If you want more about that, we can chat more about that. Let's see here, scrolling down. I think scooters should be registered or licensed. And Nolan does not agree. Says you're joking. Well, first of all, scooters are prohibited in the city of Toronto if they go more than 24 kilometers an hour on a flat surface or have a seat on them. They are motorcycles and you need to be licensed. Truth is, they just become illegal for the road, period. But so many people believe that they shouldn't be regulated because they want them. So they just do what they want. And I can tell you that there's a pay box and a not pay box. Now, what I mean is when you get seriously injured in the event of a motor vehicle collision, whether you did the right thing or wrong thing, do you think if you're on a vehicle that's prohibited from being used that you're going to get paid or not paid? I'm going to go with not paid. That's like crossing the street in the crosswalk or out of the crosswalk. Are you getting paid or not paid? I bet you there's going to be a lot fewer zeros if you're doing something illegal. Just guessing. Maybe. But people going to do it. They're going to do it anyway because they think they know better. Hey, if you're watching and you don't know who I am, and you really should. You should know who I am. But if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. Today is the second live stream I've been being on. And that's because due to this morning's outages, possible cyber attack, there were some issues and many people didn't get to see it, even though they planned to. So I did another one at a unique time. I'm not usually live streaming at 7:28 in the evening, but I'm here today, right up until 8 o'clock. All right. Brandon said he took some pics. It was a huge facility. You don't realize how big the rockets are. This is the Blue Origin factory. Very cool. Hopefully you share those with us. I'll check out your profile. Road rage should be automatic jail with loss of license. I don't disagree. Today somebody messaged in the comments and said, doing the speed limit causes road rage, so you can't do the speed limit. They were trying to justify driving unlawfully as a necessity to be safe, which is an interesting take, but it's not a valid one. The truth is, when you are speeding or maintaining a unlawful speed to prevent, to be safer, it's not safer on the road because we know faster is less safe. But to prevent road rage of somebody who can't manage their emotions, a bully on the road, we tell people on Pink Day not to be a bully online, but then somehow we get behind the wheel and we turn into bullies and morons and do all sorts of silly stuff. No, we need to actually be grown-ups who do responsible things because collisions lead to serious injury and I hate to say unaliving. I can't believe I just said that. I can't stand using this terminology, but apparently the censors don't like it when you say the other thing. So it's a thing. It's a problem. We bow down to people who do the wrong thing. And it's no different than the people who protest and hold up our city's ransom because they want their voices to be heard, or people who want to go faster and intimidate other drivers. They're all bullies. And I don't like bullies. Never have. I became a cop because I don't like bullies. I mean, that's part of it. I also like Chips, the 70s and 80s show with police motorcycles. But that's another story. Anyway, this concept that we have to coddle the bad people. Okay. Covered that, covered this. Oh, Chase has got me on big screen for this one. What do you think of this backdrop, which was entirely created using ChatGPT and generative fill on Photoshop? Because the original one was the one that you saw on the tweet in the header. But I needed to have more space so I can offset the not so magical, fancy Ask a Traffic Up After Dark with Sean Shapiro logo. If we do this again, I'm going to have to create a proper one. In any case. Paul Silla says, if I have a white car and I wrap it in red vinyl, do I have to change the ownership to red? You do. Legally, if you make a change, more than 50% of the color would be the change. Actually, more than 50%, you become multicolor without question. But the deal is that when you change the color of your vehicle, and significant would be at least 50%, I think, to lose in court. If you had 50%, you'd lose in court. If you do pinstriping or a hood change, probably not needing to change it. But anyway, it has to be multicolor. If it's two color, if you're changing it to red, it needs to reflect red. Otherwise, not only would you get a $110 ticket for failing to apply for an updated, whatchamacallit, ownership permit, but you're also going to get pulled over like every other block, because what happens is bad folk steal license plates from similar makes and models, and they put them onto the stolen plate from your vehicle, put it onto their vehicle in the hopes that they could drive with your plates for a while and bring up your your bill for the 407 and just get away with it. Let's see here. Nolan says, after dark, it's sunny. Is it still sunny? I haven't looked outside. Metro Music wants to know what my funniest moment as a cop was. There have been so many. There have been nearly pee my pants funny moments, just because life is funny. There's been a lot of horrible moments too, so you appreciate the good ones when they come. But I haven't got one that I can share, at least not off the clutch. Let's see here. Oh, so XI Clutch says, what if the careless and speeding dropped? How long before I can apply? You can apply anytime. Talk to a recruiter. I'm not the right person to ask this. You should absolutely ask a recruiter. Pav, who is obviously someone who maybe they're a therapist. Let's see. You tell me. You tell me what you think. Is this person making comments someone who knows a lot about feelings? You on that donut diet? Well, Pav, if you didn't know this, I used to be a traffic cop. I have no feelings. Thus, I appreciate you for making silly comments. I'm not a big donut fan. I'm actually just jumping back onto a carb-free thing. I've been on no carbs for a couple of days. I actually feel great. It's funny. As a dad, this is where the whole carb thing really changed for me. I was great at not eating carbs, and carbs don't make me feel very good. I don't know if I have an allergic reaction to them. Like, they taste awesome, but I feel terrible. So I cut them out of my diet and I feel much better, but they taste so damn good. And when my kids don't finish their food, I hate wasting food. So I got into the habit of eating a lot of stuff and putting it back on my diet. Also, when you cook for a multitude of people, you want to eat what you make. It's expensive to make things separate. Anyway, that aside, I'm back on no carbs. So we'll be watching the transformation again, because I've gone up and down and over the last while. My biggest problem is that since my injury on the motorcycle injury, I do a lot less exercise. I'm behind the desk a lot more, and that makes it harder. You're not exercising as much. But with the nice weather today, I went for an hour walk. That was a good thing. I'd like to get back into it. I'd like to get back into a nice routine, and dropping a few pounds will make the injuries less injured feeling. Let's see here. Rayan B says, hey, I never get to tune into your live. Always listen afterwards. Love your stuff, man. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Feedback is amazing. There's so many folks. What you may not know about this live stream is that every episode ever, almost ever, at least once we started YouTubing, is available on VoiceOver Cop. You can go to YouTube at VoiceOver Cop and watch them all. There's hundreds of, each year is about 300. Is that right? No. less than 300, but not a lot less. There's a lot of episodes. And not only are they available as an archive there, I've also gone and created a podcast platform channel, and all of the episodes have been uploaded, or at least the vast majority of them are available as a podcast. So if you want to listen while you drive, that is entirely your option. You can do it without breaking the law because it's audio only, and doesn't break your your data bill. Data can be expensive still. Not everybody has unlimited. All right, moving along. Anything here? No. Okay. Nothing since Pav. Sue says, "Hey Sean, hey Sue, how you doing?" Farango says, "Keep up what you're doing. Always awesome." Thank you, Farango. I appreciate it. And oh, nice. Waddell Engineering. What's your favorite donut? Waddell Engineering says, "Nothing wrong with that. We get donuts at our office all the time." Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I much prefer chicken wings over donuts. Just saying. Okay. Northern Bear 67 says, "Wife got a speeding ticket after she found out my mom passed. She was 10 over, wouldn't let her off." Really? For 10 over? And it was a legit. So, I mean, here's the thing. I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for speeding, but I understand what loss is like. I've lost people very close to me, and I understand that when you find out news like that, you're in crisis. And crisis comes with some poor decision making sometimes. 10 over wouldn't even get me interested in pulling them over. And based on the information, once I did pull them over, if I was so inclined to pull them over for 10 over, that would have been a warning and I'm very sorry for your loss. If you lie about losing someone to get off a ticket, you're a horrible person and you can make up, with your maker whenever you settle the bill. But it wouldn't be me who'd be giving you a ticket for 10 over. That's just wrong. But hey, maybe it was a school zone. Maybe there were kids dodging out of the way. I don't know, but I doubt it. Crystal Rue says, "Hello, Sean." Hello, Crystal. How you doing? Bits and Pieces says, "I'm in BC. Are the RCMP allowed to park on someone's driveway and sit with their radars and pull people over?" So we can certainly do it here. Generally speaking, we will ask the owner for permission because that's a thing, asking for permission when you're using their property, because they're not just allowed to be on your property. But if they're at the end of your driveway, the area out after the sidewalk, that's actually government property, not yours. That said, I do not know what the BC rules are on that. Just out of courtesy, though, I would always ask. And you have to think about something else. I don't want someone to think that I've asked the police to come hang out on my driveway and hit my neighbors up with tickets. So I'd prefer to use other locations rather than private property. I mean, private property, the shopping mall, no problem. But private property, someone's front lawn, that has consequences potentially. Negative ones. Oh, everything just changed to night mode. I guess the sun is down now. 7:38. Do you know where your children are? It's really early. Might be, many people may not. If you don't know me, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. We're currently multitasking and multicasting. We are. I'm typing. I'm giving myself likes. I'm trying to get more people onto the TikTok, and that's because it's a weird time for me. And there's a lot of competition right now for live streams, and people may not be seeing us at all, which is okay. The people that are here are more than enough. But just in case, if there's people that you think might benefit from this live stream, please share the live. Hit like if you're on TikTok, because it's easy. You just tap that finger on the screen until your fingers go numb. Now, if you really want to help me out, forward my channel to other people. And actually, follow me on YouTube. YouTube is what I really want to grow on. There's a whole bunch of projects I'm working on, and when they come out, things are going to be interesting. So things that are in the works. Give you a little background. I have a concept that I'm in. We're just doing the storyboarding, but we're going to be doing an interesting show where we go around. I say we because it's myself and another creator going around, and he's a race car driver and a race team owner, and we're going to go and look at driving techniques on the roads. We're going to go look at samples of driving throughout the GTA and into other jurisdictions as well, just to see, are drivers better here versus there? Are people more inclined to follow the rules in one town versus another? It's going to be interesting. We're finally going to find out if Brampton's as bad as people say it is, because we're going to record it and then we're going to put it up on the tube. But we've got lots of projects and they're going to be a lot of fun. So if you want to watch those, YouTube's the place to catch them. I'll obviously be promoting it here, but you can get the head start. And Crystal Rue, thanks so much for the gift. I appreciate it. I didn't see the animation, but I'm sure it was magic. Let's see here. Honda Migs, loving the 7 p.m. lives, especially now that I'm back to work and can't watch at 11. Well, 11, nobody can watch because I usually go live at 10. But I'm glad that the evening, it's one of those things. I have forever been talking about doing evening stuff. But when I was with the Toronto Police, the boss originally wanted everyone there during daylight hours. And I was like, we should try some night stuff. And then my staff actually suggested we sample it. And it just didn't work out because it was weird to be doing stuff in addition to, so do 8 to 10 hours at work and then do another couple hours at night. And it would have worked. It could have worked. Pete, how's it going? Oh, TPA. It wasn't Pete. It was another member of the Toronto Police Association who jumped in. Hello, how's it going? So anyway, back to what I was saying. The 7 p.m.s are good. I think I might do a lot more of them. Jen says, fellow law enforcement here. Hello, Sean. Hello, Jen. I want to follow you back because I follow back law enforcement. DM me so I know where I can follow you back when we're not live streaming. And let's see here. There we go. Alexander says, we here. And Bits and Pieces says, gotcha, thanks. Okay, cool. Awesome. Alexander shared the live. I appreciate it. Awesome. All right. What's going on here? And Callie joined and Jennifer joined. We got some people popping in. It's that dude joined. Amazing. Does your vehicle have to be in motion to lay a 1062 seatbelt charge? Motion, no, but it has to be on the road. So if you are in let's back it up. Depends, because it all depends. There's actually there are exemptions for seatbelts, mostly for drivers of vehicles that are engaged, drivers who are actively engaged in delivery. So if you're a delivery driver traveling under 40 kilometers an hour, actively engaged in delivery, you don't have to wear your seatbelt according to law. But that's it doesn't mean it's a good idea. 106, fail to properly wear seatbelt. Let's see what the wording says. Every person who drives on a highway, a motor vehicle in which seatbelt assembly is provided for the driver shall wear the complete seatbelt assembly as required by passenger. Every person who is at least 16 years old and is a passenger in a motor vehicle on a highway shall occupy a seating position for which the seatbelt assembly has been provided and wear the complete seatbelt assembly as required by subsection. So there's nothing that says if it's not moving or if it's moving, things change. Because you think about it. You put your seatbelt on when you get in the car. Once you pull out on the road, your seatbelt remains on. If you're at a stoplight, you don't take your seatbelt off for a second. I mean, people do it, but it's not legal. No good. Oh, no. Rain B says, I lost a trial today because observations were made after vehicle stopped. Oh, no kidding. So you're saying, so they allege that they took off the seatbelt after you pulled them over? I mean, I could see how that wouldn't go well. So if you pulled them over for speeding and upon walking up to the driver's door, the person wasn't wearing a seatbelt and you say, you're not wearing a seatbelt. He says, well, yeah, but I took it off just now to get my wallet. That could be reasonable. And I find more now than ever, I mean, even when I was on the road, Justice of the Peace saying, you gave great evidence, officer. I appreciate everything you said. And even though your evidence is fantastic and I trust everything you say, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to the other person who made up their story. Like, it happens. They're trying to be impartial, but was that the only charge you laid? And, so many times people say, oh, I'll cut you a break. I'm going to give you the seatbelt charge instead of the speeding charge. And then they win the seatbelt charge because you were nice to them and you didn't proceed on the other charge. I don't know. I want to know more now. I'm intrigued. I'm invested in this story, Ryan. Okay. Jen, thanks for the follow. Okay. Manraj Verk says, few months ago, I reported excessive tint on a TPS website and almost forgot about it. But a few months later, I got a call from Constable and he told me that he flagged that license plate in the system and Peel Police gave tickets to the car. Well, isn't that awesome? People don't take seriously the whole concept of tinted windows, why it's so important. I posted I think at least one article, if not two, stories on X, LinkedIn, and at bettertraffic.ca. Uh, the whole understanding, the deeper dive into why tint is important or why not having excessive tint is important. Because a little bit of tint's not a problem. It's when it's too much tint, but only a little bit of tint is okay. So there you go. Yeah, I think it's great that you were able to make a report, that it actually went somewhere and that someone took action, because so many times you know, people take the initiative to report something that was meaningful to them, that was a problem, and they feel like they're being ignored when nobody gets a hold of them. And the truth is, it's not that they're being ignored. It's not that you don't matter. It's that there's so much stuff being put in front of police officers, whether they're in the CIB or on the road, that many of the lower priority things fall to the wayside. They'll get to you eventually, and it sometimes takes forever. And in your case, a few months ago, it feels like forever. But even if they don't reach out to you, know that very often the system's at least being updated, even if you didn't get a phone call or an email. Things are happening. We like making notes of these things. We like making sure that when a police officer pulls someone over, that they're getting that intel that this person's being seen all over the place doing all sorts of things. My phone went to sleep. Oh, because it's in the wrong window. There we go. Drop the ticket to give a seatbelt instead. Alexander. Well, there's so many times. Like I can't tell you how many times I pulled someone over, and they've done something wrong, but they didn't have their ownership with them, or they didn't have their insurance slip with them. But I totally believe them that they had it at home. But I pulled them over for speeding, and while I'm not going to let them off with nothing, I'm going to give you something. So I give you the one that's not a moving violation, which can still be bad. But it's far less impactful to someone's driver's license than getting the full speeding ticket or something. So it depends on the day, depends on the person, depends on the attitude, depends on their taking responsibility for what happened. It all depends. Yeah. And I don't know and seatbelts, a pretty hefty ticket, but I was trying to figure it out. So Ryan B says, I got 7 out of 8 convictions. I'll take it. I as you should, 7 out of 8's excellent. But I've never kept score. I've never worried whether, that's not true. There was a couple of people that were real, how do I say, dirtbags, and I really wanted them to be convicted because they were bad people doing bad things, and they weren't just bad because they ran a stop sign. They were bad because they were bad. They did other stuff, and I was just happy that they were getting hit with a ticket here and there. But those people, you want to make sure they get convicted. The average person, I don't care if you can play the game. Like I will tell you one story, and I probably told this a couple of times, but I went and I was working. It was Club District somewhere. Which one is this? Which one? I got so many stories that are overlapping. There was one that really upset me, and that was where I'm in a Club District. Or is it Little Italy? Maybe it was Little Italy. And a guy pulls up in a Mercedes ML 3 or 4, like the truck, the SUV, not as popular anymore. And he had no headlights, And turns out he's a mechanic who took a customer's vehicle without permission and went cruising in the Club District or Little Italy, and did so without headlights and a license. He didn't have a license either. So I wrote him up with everything and everything. And we get to court, and he's hired a defense person. And we go through, my testimony in chief. It's a Mercedes. There's no headlight. He was sitting behind the steering wheel and the driver. And I'm giving this big description. And defense says, motion to dismiss. Like, really? Like not even really? Just motion to dismiss? Yeah. Your worship, at no time the testimony of the officer did he establish that it was a motor vehicle. Like, what? Mercedes ML? I told you everything about it. I never said the word motor vehicle. I cannot tell you how many times I say motor vehicle or would say motor vehicle in a testimony afterwards, because he made a very true point. If I see this guy, that was the thing. Like I would always say, hi, motor vehicle. Like it just became a joke. Get me once. Shame on me. It's just, I learned That's all about. I learned from that testimony. I never made the same mistake twice. I said it like an obnoxious amount of times during testimony. And the motor vehicle. I observed the motor vehicle. I observed like it became comical. There's so many stories like that. Okay. Will you ever bring on Carrie Schmidt to join you on live? Absolutely. So Carrie and I were chatting at the auto show, and he asked me how. Well, first of all, he asked me if we would do some live streaming there. He jumped on my live temporarily just while I was streaming. He walked up and jumped on, but I think it would be great. I think Carrie would be a lot of fun to chat with. So we should do that. Brandon, what was this? What was your first court experience like? Gotta go as a character witness for the first time Friday. So I had some court experiences prior to becoming a police officer. I was a witness for the police. I was there was somebody who was charged, and I happened to be a witness, and I had some fun with it. I watched way too much Perry Mason as a kid, so I think that I was uniquely prepared. And aside from that, as a kid, I then went and became a court officer. And as a court officer, I sat in court morning, noon, and night, literally, because I worked night court as well. And I watched the lawyers and the prosecutors and the like everyone just do their dance every single day. The court officer is the security officer in the room, essentially. If there's a prisoner that needs to be brought into court, they're the prisoner transportation or escort. But otherwise, they're sitting there trying not to fall asleep. So I got really interested in watching the courts operate. I wanted to know everything that was going on. And I geeked out, just like I geeked out with traffic law. I geeked out with court stuff, and I would have these great conversations with some of the most amazing judges and JPs, where I got to learn so many different things. And it's that I think prepared me for my first actual, let me at him. I can't wait to do this dance for myself. It's like being in the movies, because that was my source of entertainment. You can either fight to stay awake, or you can enjoy what you're in. And I found it much more interesting to enjoy it. So what was it like? It was probably horrible. Like, I don't think I was embarrassed or did anything wrong. I don't remember the specifics, but I'm sure it wasn't as graceful as I would have liked. But I do remember later, an officer I was in court with, and he comes up to me, he says, "Hey, do you want me to go outside before you testify?" I'm like, "Why?" He says, "Well, you're going to testify. Some people are, freaked out about it. They don't want their friends to see." I'm like, "No, you can all come in here. I live stream for a living." Like, this is long after I was off the road. I was just going in for old cases. I'm like, "No, man, I'm good. I don't mind an audience. It's no problem." But everyone's got a different thing. Not everybody likes to talk in front of people. If you can figure out a way to do it, it's a gift. Like, and not just because you can be on TikTok yapping for hours, but it's great to be comfortable in your own skin. And obviously that comes with age. I'm obviously comfortable everywhere all the time. I am who I am. I is who I is. What was it? The actual quote from Popeye? I am what I am. I is what I is. I don't know, but that's who I am. Okay. Brandon says, as a chef, I prefer chicken wings over donuts as well. I send some pics of the tour to your Instagram message. Awesome. I look forward to checking it. The nice thing about chicken wings is that although it may be high in fat and not great for you, I can do occasional chicken wings on a no carb diet or a low carb diet. Lucas says, hello, how are you? I'm doing well, Lucas. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing well. We're almost at the time. It's like 6 more minutes. So if you've got questions, get them in before I go, because at 8 o'clock, I am going to sign off. An hour and 5 minutes. Yeah. Hey, I see someone from OCH popped in. How's it going, brother? Good to see you. Still use same profile picture, like forever. I still see that. Anyway, it's good to see you. Oh, Honda Make says best chicken wing place you recommend. That's a tough one. Like, I like St. Louis Bar and Grill. I think they've got lots of locations. I just like their wings if they're well done. And then I also, what else do I like? I mean, I'm a big fan of buffalo wings in Buffalo. So the magic behind, what the heck's it called? Oh, come on. It's the original. It's the actual original wing. Buffalo. Come on. What is it called? This is bugging me. Hang on. Original buffalo wings. How can I not remember this? I'm waiting for someone to pop it into the but just as I look it up. Buffalo, New York. I used to go to Santora's Anchor Bar. Thank you. Did anyone say it? I actually beat everyone to it. Normally things are being thrown at me like left, right, and center when I'm looking for stuff like this. But Anchor Bar, love it. They have them in the airport now, like franchises. There's one in Amherst, New York. However, I like the original location, and I can put back some serious wings when I go there. But there's like Duff's wings. I like Duff's. I think I just like wings. Now, my buddy Dale told me about a place here locally in Woodbridge, and he likes them because they're big meaty wings. But I like their other food, but I'm not a big fan of their wings. I won't because it's negative. I won't say which place it is. I'm just telling Dale that I like other wings more, in case he's watching. Mr. Cool D says, are drivers allowed to drop kids off at a bus stop near a school? A public bus stop bothers me. If it doesn't say no stopping, if it doesn't say no standing, if it doesn't have any kind of sign directing that it can't be stopped at, then they could. Even if it's a no parking place, they can stop for the immediate, on and off of or in and out, loading or unloading of persons. But I'm not aware of any specific bus stop prohibition, unless there's a sign saying so. I want to look it up now because I'm curious, but I don't think there is. If police give ticket out of their police agency area and other person challenges it in court, do you have to attend court for testimony? So here's how it works. If I write a ticket, as a police officer, if I were to write a ticket in Toronto, obviously it's a ticket to Toronto. That's where I write tickets. If I'm in any of the bordering cities or jurisdictions, I can still write a ticket to my agency. You have to come to my courthouse, not that courthouse. If I'm 2 jurisdictions away, so let's say I'm writing in York, that's okay. But if I want to go to Barrie, then Barrie's got to write it, or York's got to write it, but I can't write it, not directly. So when we do the agency work, where we do enforcement for all the modified cars, happens a lot. So what happens then is we would team a Toronto person with somebody with a jurisdiction that together they could do all the ticket writing. So Honda Mig says, are Peel police allowed to give tickets in Toronto? Yes, because Peel borders Toronto. Going over the border a little bit in either direction. Absolutely. And of course, police are police across the province of Ontario. So a police officer in Ontario or in Peel is a police officer in the same province or anywhere in the province, just like a Toronto is. So for criminal stuff, we're talking, that's HTA stuff. But for criminal stuff, still a police officer, authority 24/7, on duty or off, they can still arrest. And Honda Mig says, I'm driving downtown. Can a Peel Regional Police officer pull you over? Yeah, they can. They have the authority of a police officer, regardless of whether they can write you the ticket, they can pull you over. Whether they need to pull or call for a police officer that's local to come to issue the ticket is the only question. But they can absolutely pull you over. You can't say, I see flashing red and blue, but it's Peel. Not stopping. No, that does not work. That is a bad day at the office. Don't do that. Brandon says, can you go to traffic court guilty and plead for leniency? So yeah, your options are pay your ticket, go to court and pay your ticket. Sorry, let me go back. You can choose to pay your fine, period. You can have a first appearance with a prosecutor, which is in advance of a trial date, which allows you to see what the court is willing to offer you. And if you don't like the offer, you can still proceed to court, at which point you can choose to plead guilty or plead not guilty. That's entirely up to you. By going to a prosecutor in advance, I think a lot of these are done by Zoom these days. It might be more efficient if they say, hey, we're willing to give you a lenient position if you plead guilty to save time for the courts, then that's an option for you. You can go to the courthouse. You can say, listen, I screwed up that day. I totally take responsibility. However, I have 4 kids and no job, and I need help. I want to pay. I want to do my time or whatever it is to make up for it, but I need help. Can I have time to pay? And they can give you 6 months, a year, whatever they want to give you, they can give you. They can also reduce the fine. And so whether the $100 is where the $120 is $10 a month, or if it's $20, they say thank you. Like, that's up to them. They have the power to do that. And Honda Mig says, what about Toronto Police Special Constables? Can they pull people over? They don't have the authority. Exactly. Like, they can be I'm a little muddy on this, and I'll tell you why. Because they can't write you a ticket, but they're in a police vehicle with red and blue lights. They could, so if you see the red and blue lights, you're obligated to pull over. A police officer should be attending, and they're not armed. Like, I wouldn't be doing vehicle stops as an unarmed person. That's just me. But I don't believe they have the authority to do it technically. Yeah. Again, I wouldn't be pulling people over without a firearm. But that's just me. All right. It is 7 o'clock. No, it's 8 o'clock. Oh, my clock on. Oh, isn't that interesting? No, it's the start time. I'm looking at a window and going, why does it say that? Anyway, it's 8 o'clock, and that means it is time for me to go. But it's been a lovely experiment of 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Let me know if you think this is like the best time. It is certainly a far more chill time because it was not as busy as it normally is. So you got a lot of one-on-one or one-on-many time where you got to have a little more or a less hectic live stream. We'll call it that. But it was fun. It's always fun. I enjoy doing this stuff. So if you have questions in the meantime before we go live again, which will be the next scheduled is Wednesday at 10 a.m. You know what? I might try a 4 p.m. Tomorrow. We'll see. Because with this whole what do you call it? March break. Lots of people off school. More time to talk to some people who are probably about to get their license. So if you know any young folk who might need to know stuff and things. Oh, and I'm planning on doing a whole review the driver's handbook. I'm going to do a series on reviewing the driver's handbook. So if you know some young folks who might want some help with that, send them my way. VoiceOver Cop on all the platforms. Have a great night, everyone. Drive safe, drive sober, and we will see you soon. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm just going to go and see what version 2 of that song sounds like. Oh, it's bluesy. I like that. This is the second AI generated song for the After Dark Drive. VoiceOver Cop, Sean Shapiro with Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark.